program. We're going by the program that's on the hard print because we had a program earlier. The hard copy, the print out, the black and white. I hope you'd like the black and white. We're missing the color, but that's okay because that's now the latest version. It must be somewhere on your desk, or at least if you don't have the copy, then you raise up your hand, and we immediately help Natalie. So on the current copy, on the current program, the first session is about hydropower and climate change, and what are the opportunities and indeed the challenges. All right? And of course, like Robert has mentioned, Dan Malone is my name. I have a third name that people always mispronounce, so I don't want to, I always feel offended when my name has been mispronounced, like anybody else. Our names are not as easy as Trump and as those big names, Bill Gates. So anyway, and we have members of the panel. I think I would not waste any more time. I just want to invite them to come on board. Timothy Mugerwa, please come over. And I'm going to talk more about Timothy Mugerwa. He's the East African Regional Coordinator for the African Climate Reality Project, ACRP. And he's based here in Uganda, but he's the Regional Coordinator. Welcome, Timothy. Then we have Alexander Akera. He's representing the Vice Chairperson of the Uganda National Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Association. Welcome, Alexander. So that is supposed to be the team that we're going to have, the panel for this morning, discussing the opportunities and indeed the risks that are associated with climate change in lieu of hydropower development in the country. Initially, we planned to have a speaker from the United States, and we were supposed to have a kind of video conferencing. Some of you could have got that kind of program, but of course, something I think came up, and he sent out his apology, so Mario is not able to be with us on this session. But still, we shall do our best to manage the time and to manage the subject matter at hand. All right? So my work is very easy. I'm not the one presenting the papers, but I'm going to coordinate. I want to say that we get the best out of this wonderful gentleman that's in front here. And maybe at a later time, if you have any burning questions or comments, we shall, by show of hands, be able to contribute. All right? So I think we're good to go. If all microphones down here are on, I also want to take a seat so that maybe you can, is the microphone on, do you think? It's fine? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But I'll begin with Timothy. I wanted to share something more about Timothy that's just right on my left. As I mentioned before, he's the regional coordinator for the East African Africa Climate Reality Project, ACRP, and he's also a social entrepreneur, climate change activist, and a former president of the African Youth Union. Timothy has extensive experience in climate change policies, both nationally and internationally. Youth policies and advocacy. He has worked in those for a number of years. And he's also a climate reality leader at the Climate Reality Project. He's a public speaker with international experience. He speaks on climate and environmental issues, peace and security. For you who are here, Uganda is a peaceful country, and one of the people contributing to that is Timothy, is a peace-loving Ugandan. But he's also interested in issues to do with regional integration. We are in the East African regional bloc. Then finally, youth development and Pan-Africanism, among others. Of course, the profile is long, but for this time, we'll keep it at that. So maybe first of all, I would have loved to ask Timothy. Welcome. We wanted him to share, first of all, give us a brief background about this Africa Climate Reality Project. I know it's both regional and global. Just throw some light on that and then we can get rolling.
Thank you, moderator. The African Climate Reality Project is the Africa's branch to Mr. Ariko's Climate Reality Project. That's based in the US. African Climate Reality is based in South Africa and hosted by Food and Trees for Africa. Mr. Aligo has trained close to 600 climate leaders from 25 African countries. Our work is mainly to spread awareness and action on climate change, mobilize communities to respond to the effects of climate change. Through our climate leaders, our movement urges governments to implement or to act on their commitments under the Paris Agreement, and also we urge communities to take climate action now. We've engaged in a lot of successful campaigns at a global stage and a regional stage, and one we pride ourselves in is the Paris Agreement. Our chairman, Mr. Aligo, was the forefront, together with the UN Chief, Management, the former, on the policy issues. We engaged local governments to mobilize local communities to participate in the Paris Agreement. Like you know, the Paris Agreement is the first global climate change agreement that binds state parties to commit to low carbon emissions and, if possible, to decarbonize. Our major interest is in renewable energy. We promote solar and wind. We want to decarbonize the development, because in the next 50 years, we want zero emissions globally. Uganda in particular, we focus more on climate change literacy. We understand that climate change literate people will be better prepared to respond to the effects of climate change. There is an information gap between local communities and policymakers. As you can see, we are not more than 200 here, yet Uganda has 40 million, meaning they are losing out on critical information. Yet, if change is to happen, it has to happen from the bottom. We use a bottom-up approach. We engage students, youth, from local to community levels. We do a lot of climate change literacy. Towards COP22, which was Marrakesh last year, we helped people to understand, to advise governments on their contributions, and to commit to their nationally determined contributions. We also do a lot of biogas. Particularly in Chiboga, we just started a new project there, where because they have less access to electricity, and also have access, there is no reliability. And when power is off, there is what we call load shedding in Uganda. I don't know if it's also available in other countries, that we don't have constant power supply. And in the process, our businesses are affected. So we advise local people and indigenous people in their localities to switch to renewable energy like biogas. Biogas is benefiting these people a lot. We don't only make a difference in climate change, but we also create jobs, it has an economic benefit, and also social impact, and it's also allowing innovation. So we think that where Uganda is, we need to leapfrog the conventional technologies and embrace new technologies that will create cleaner and safer energy, because our future is dependent on its young people, and we can only realize that when we have cleaner and healthier planets. Our climate leaders are from government and government organizations. They are from academic, youth, media, so we have a lot of activists globally. Our movement has over 5 million people at the global stage, and we always conduct trainings. Mr. Aligo conducts trainings himself for people to become climate leaders. We equip them with knowledge and skills of championing the climate change cause. Thank you.
All right, Ban Ki-moon,
Yes.
I heard you right?
Yes.
Wow, those are real high-profile people in this world. And how come at that level we really haven't felt the impact of this program, the ACRP? especially in Uganda here?
The impact is there. Maybe our approach is not a publicity approach. We always want to have local solutions. If you go down to local communities, Kivoga, Masaka, Ruel, you will see the difference. Our approach, like I say, is a bottom-up approach. We want to start from the grassroots, then we come up. But also the ACRP is a new organization. We just opened a branch in 2014. I was in South Africa in 2014 in March, where we trained over 600 climate leaders from 25 African countries. But the mother organization, the Climate Project, has been there for over 10 years. And we've had even the Inconvenient Truth, that's a movie that won Ali Go, a Nobel Prize. So I'm sure many people have heard about him. And on social media, we're also making a lot of impact. We've run a lot of such campaigns. On Paris Agreement towards COP21 in Paris, we had a lot of activities happening across the globe. We just produced a new movie in a convenient school that's talking about energy. And I invite you to watch that movie. It's now showing in the cinemas in South Africa. We are planning to make arrangements to bring it to Uganda, but also showing across the world, in the US, Europe, Australia, all parts of the country. So for Uganda, we have had a lot of impact because our work is targeting local communities. They always miss out on the bigger points. Like here, like I told you, I don't think we even have a representative from local communities here. We don't. So after here, I will go down to the local communities and deliver what we discussed here. Show us Uganda's position in the energy.
All right, last point. Because as I was saying, those people are high profile. When you hear Algo and you hear Bad Kimon. And normally, sometimes when we participate in media work, we talk about being effective, having an impact on the grassroots, on the person down at the bottom. So maybe you just slightly again try to emphasize how does this program trickle from high up there to down my grandmother right in the village somewhere in the mountains of Elko in eastern Uganda.
Mr. Aliko always said we need to take the conversation to the street level. When we meet such events, I personally have been in different COPs, Congress of the Parties. That's the biggest UN Congress on climate change. The next one in November is going to be in Germany. Once we attend, we represent, even before attending, we hold briefings. I remember before COP22 in Marrakesh, I was involved in a pre-COP22 dialogue that we hosted, whereby we shared what's happening in COP, government's position on Paris Agreement, and we also got ideas of local people, which we represented in COP, in a language that anybody can understand. We take the message to homesteads, to churches, to schools, all at all levels. Our message suits all types of people, from professors, lawyers, mentioned. So basically, we localize the information, we put it in a manner which can be comprehended by everybody. The language we use here cannot be understood by the majority of our people. Yet they are the very people we want to change. They are the people who we can win the conversation together. Because without the numbers, without mobilizing the communities, we won't get the action we need. And unfortunately, I have to mention it, our government really listens to protest. That if you need something to be worked on, you need to mobilize masses. Remember the Marila forest was going to be given to investors. People pleaded. Technocrats pleaded to government, please do not sell this. They refused. Until volunteers mobilized the communities. Communities marched, the government listened. So we need to localize this information and knowledge sharing so that people, and I can assure you, people are starting to act. Very many people are having initiatives. Before I came here on Monday, I was in Sunjas Vijayanagar district talking to Christians, 200 of them. They are even showing a lot of interest in helping the government to cut down the emissions. they are helping the government to find alternative energy sources. So it's going to promote innovation in the energy. To be precise to your question, we localize the information. Before we attend these events, we brief our communities about what's happening in these boardrooms and these fancy chairs. And during the negotiations like this, we bring forward the ideas of local people. And even after that, we go back and report. Many civil societies and the government people don't do that. They don't report it back to their constituents. What they do, they do media briefing, and that's where it ends. For us, we go back and benefit the local person.
That's watch. I think members would have loved to hear the name again for the title.
We have two videos, Inconvenient Truth and Inconvenient Squirrel. Maybe I'm pronouncing it in Ugandan accent.
Inconvenient Truth.
Truth. Yes, and Inconvenient Squirrel. Squirrel is S-E-Q-U-E-L. S-E. Yes. Yeah.
As in a series or something like that, a follow-up.
Yes, that's the latest. That's the latest.
Okay.
And please, I also invite you to visit our website, www.climatereality.org.
Can put those on the screen, I think.
Yeah, I think somebody in charge of the laptop or whatever, the computer. www.climatereality.org.
Yes, and also Climate Reality, African Climate Reality.org.za.
I should go straight into the question time. If you have any burning question, one or two, maybe by show of hands so that I can know and take statistics of the kind of load I have. So we have two over that there.
In the dry season. And all these are parameters that come into play. I want to give credit to the first speaker there next to you. Advocacy is very important, and awareness is a huge challenge. We have a huge community, and their effort is good, but their numbers are too tiny. Advocacy, more advocacy across the country. We respect the work that we're doing, and it's an important contribution.
Joint Energy and Environment Projects, in short, I thank you, the panel, but Timothy made me cry because all they talked about him, all the work he's carrying out is so important. But it's unfortunate that Timothy doesn't know Jeep, and I didn't know Timothy. And we are doing the same work. We've carried out an advocacy program for 4 years, and we are ending it this year, advocating for renewable energy and climate change mitigation in Uganda and targeting leaders, top leaders. It has been so hard to get leaders in one place and talk to them, members of parliament inclusive. And I feel so bad, in fact, very, very bad, that Timothy, we could not use you. Members of parliament, those top leaders, ministers, you rather climb Mount Elgon than inviting those people to talk to them. So you have a lot of work. You have to look for NGOs like JIP and others working on such issues, like climate change issues and all that. And I don't know how much you have succeeded talking to the government people, advising them. Have you succeeded? You will tell us later. Okay. So we need to really collaborate very much if we are ready to fight these problems. We may not win, but we need to work very, very closely. Of course, we're going
to give the parents just a minute each so that we catch up with time, please. I'll begin with my closest neighbor, Timothy Mugerwa.
Thank you, moderator, and I apologize to Mrs. Chuanuka for not coming to your organization. So I look for you. Yeah, in the government, we are trying to create a partnership to work together through the Department of Climate Change under the Ministry of Water and Environment. So we are still in the negotiations, but we are yet to finalize on that. So we are winning. Government is complying. In my conclusive remark, I can say we are not blaming climate change for everything. We are against human-induced climate. Human activities that are leading to climate change. That's what we are against. So, as we discuss the future energy of Uganda, we need to think of a decarbonized development, which has low carbon emissions, and if possible, with no carbon emissions, and we get rid of greenhouse gases.
Thank you. You're most welcome, Doctor. And of course, my other mentor was just walked in, Engineer Ziria Tibarawako, the CEO of ERAS. Yes, you're most welcome. For now, I've been your moderator, Dan Malone. I'm right now representing the Hydropower Association of Uganda, but I have a few other things I do around the country in the energy sector, and I'm sure we're going to interact much more along the course of the